I've always been like a business-minded entrepreneur.
Was it money driven?
Real passion was helping people through nutrition. I just hired the best teachers. I knew business. I knew how to grind. I do feel at times like I'm ahead of the curve, and it's like just trusting yourself. I want to build community. I want to be around community, and I always want to, like, even if it's just going out with friends, I want, like, what's the absolute best memory and experience we can create tonight? Well, yeah, everyone's going to tell you don't get into the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Right? But I like to do what everyone tells you not to do.
You know, you can't learn to ride a bike by reading about how to ride a bike. You learn to ride a bike by riding a bike.
We'll take out like a lot of those players, even the rookies, and they'll go on the boat and they'll be like, how do I get here? And I'm like, dude, you guys are pro football players. They're like asking me how to do stuff, right?
So what's
and
that like?
I'm like, do you guys get financial advice? And they're like, not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even through the organization?
They said no.
Yeah. Or
like,
they hear it and it's just
they'll
like,
tell you don't buy a jet, don't buy this yet, you know.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like investments, all that, they just have to figure it out.
Yeah. Do they have like 401ks and stuff, you think?
Probably.
Okay.
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. That's got to feel good though. Like,
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. You're bringing NFL players on and they're asking how.
I think they just want the yacht, you know, and then they're like, oh, I can charter it, you know. They're trying to hustle too.
So, yeah. They want time on the boat. So, how does someone afford or buy a yacht or buy a boat? Or like, what's the normal path to being able to do that?
It's pretty easy, actually. And because I saw some video recently, it was like, it's talking about like real wealth and like you can't fake owning a yacht necessarily because the cost of maintenance and stuff. But it's really like, it wasn't that out of reach. Like the financing part was like super easy. The tax benefit of it was like amazing. It's still benefiting me, right? But it's essentially you go to a bank that does these boat loans, and just like, I mean, easier than a house, obviously. It's more like buying a car. And it was simple. Okay.
Do you recommend buying brand new? Like,
no, for sure. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So same thing as like,
same thing with a car. Yeah. And actually, like, boats are more like houses where like you have a 30-year-old boat and you wouldn't know. And it's but my boat's almost 18 years old, you know, but you look at it, it's like, looks like a brand new yacht.
How do you make sure it stays looking like that?
Well, that's the maintenance and upkeep. Like, you can't neglect it. You know, you've got to have people, especially, I mean, up here it's easier. In Florida, they just get trashed, you know, because the salt and the weather and the storms. So having a boat on freshwater up here, like you hold your value.
So it's like having a car from California.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You want a boat that's a lake boat, not
you could go buy a boat in Florida and save a ton of money, but it's going to come up here and you're going to have to work on it.
Yeah.
Like, even the internals of the boat are rusted and salted out.
Yeah, I don't want that, man. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was asking you because I had this big mental block around a boat. That old phrase of like the best day of your life is the day you buy the boat.
I don't believe that phrase at all.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean is I had that.
The saddest day is when I sell my boat.
Dang, see? And I think that's the difference is what I realize is that it's like a scarcity, poverty, like you believe what you want to believe about how the world operates. Yeah. And, you know, but I do hear like, oh, you got to work on the boat. You got to get rid of the rust, you know, all that stuff.
And I think it's different for everyone. I like when something's broken on the boat, I love figuring out that challenge of fixing it. Whether it's, you know, get the right guy there, but usually it's going through my mind too. And the moment I fix something, I feel just super accomplished. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. I just learned a new skill.
I used to feel that way. And then you get, you know, 10 Airbnbs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you're like,
I should be doing something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. And so if I had 10 boats.
Or like we go to San Juan's and you're supposed to be on vacation. It's like, I could spend the whole time fixing vacuum pumps, you know, and
yeah,
because I want everything to work on the boat.
Yeah. Do you think that's like a trait of entrepreneurs or business owners is like this, I don't want to call it OCD or, you know, but
yeah,
like,
I think you learn to like pick and choose like what you really should be doing and saying yes and no to. But, you know, I mean, for some part, I want to feel like I'm, you know, have the utility in me to be able to fix things when I need to.
Yeah.
You know,
I do too. Yeah. But be able to pick and choose.
It's picking up little skills.
Yeah. And so you've got the boat business. What's the name of that one?
We call that Rome also. Rome.
Rome. Okay.
Rome Charters.
Rome Charters, Rome Stay, which is the vacation rental management. You've got Bala Yoga, which is a really popular yoga chain in the Seattle area.
Not a chain anymore, just
one store.
One location now.
Yeah, sorry,
But
that was COVID, right?
yeah, it's 15 years. It's like, we're right now trying to figure out where that's going to go.
Yeah, and before we met, which is kind of funny, you booked one of my free coaching calls, and you didn't even know I was in Kirkland. And then
Nope.
all of a sudden, here you are,
Yeah.
like, down the road, and I'm like, oh yeah, Bala, because this yoga chain is this yoga location is probably the most popular yoga spot in, I would say, like all of the East Side. Even. Yeah.
I'd say for some people really like hot yoga, which we're not. You know? So you either love that or you're like right in between.
And I'm not a hot yoga person. I feel like it detracts. It's a different experience.
Yeah, it is.
I'll say that. It's a different thing. I don't want that for my yoga, and I think a lot of people are the same. And so how did you create the brand or the identity behind Bala, or the reputation behind Bala?
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story, because I was going down the path of I was a nutritionist at the time, like a holistic lifestyle coach in California. I lived in Sacramento. And I came up here because my father was in commercial real estate and thought, I'm going to go that route. But my real passion was helping people through nutrition and coaching, personal training. I was just getting out of my kind of career as a MMA fighter, right? And I got out of that too, kind of trying to preserve my mind and my brain from trauma, So I thought I was way more into, at the time, like it was so hard to make money in that sport, And there were guys, I was with guys that were Hall of Famers, top of their game. But again, the money isn't like it is today there. And I just didn't have that aspiration. I was just like, this is fun. It keeps me in shape. You get the girls. Like, it was just fun. Like,
yeah.
I felt decently good at it,
Yeah.
But I've always been like a business-minded entrepreneur. I saw my dad in commercial real estate. So I thought I'd come up here and give that a go. And then I ended up, I wanted to go to Bastyr, which is that naturopathic school,
Yeah. We go hiking out there all the time.
Yeah.
St. Edwards, yeah.
But then even then I was like, dang, this is so expensive. And I saw a lot of their grads and like struggling.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I could do a yoga studio and make what they would be making.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I wasn't a yoga teacher even. So most yoga teachers go in open studios, right? And they teach all the classes and that's it. But I was kind of different up here as I came up, and I just hired the best teachers. I knew business. I knew how to grind, but I kind of felt out of place. I was like, well, I'm not like this superstar teacher. And I started investing in myself, doing trainings, but I think you always have kind of a little insecurity, like, oh, I'm not the best one. But then I became okay with that.
Yeah.
Because even my students, they come to class and that's what stops people from going to yoga, is like, I'm not going to be the most flexible, the best one, right? So I kind of related and identified to my students in that way, and we became a very welcoming studio.
Yeah. Where
it wasn't intimidating at all. Like, here's the owner, and I couldn't do a handstand. So it was great because I was able to hire and identify the best talent, the best teachers, and we attracted that, and we attracted different styles, and people love that. And I think that's what people like about the studio, is that it's not built on my name, my brand, right?
I'm really glad that you brought this up, because I think in the wellness space, the holistic medicine, the people that stand out are either like these really exceptional practitioners that do amazingly well, and they've created like a boundary of, this is the only thing I do, and I'm going to charge you a shit ton of money for it. Or it's people like you that have figured out how to actually run a business. But so many, I think, of yoga teachers or anyone wanting to get into this space at all, whatever it is, sound baths, like, they don't know the business side. They might know how to start a studio. They might know how to like get that going, and that's what they do, but they don't realize that the real benefit of running a business is scale, or at least being the business owner, being the CEO, and not the operator. Because when you put yourself in that position as a great teacher that then wants to open a studio, you're now doing everything. Your business is not big enough to step away and have a life, really, is what it comes down to. You've created multiple jobs for yourself. And so, like, how did you feel about that? Or how do you even feel about, other people in the space like that?
Yeah, no, I think I thought it was a weakness getting in, not being in that position, but I think it ended up being an advantage, because I got to focus on the business, which that's what I was truly, passionate about, is just business and growing things and creating systems. And so I remember in the beginning, like, I thought we're just going to build the absolute best website. We're going to appear to be the best studio. And at the time, I've rebuilt my site now, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
At the time, it was the best. It's probably still is, but seeing the competition and, they're busy teaching classes. They don't have time to invest in that.
Yeah.
So quickly we became, and it appeared to be, this new big brand. Was this self-funded? This was not a franchise, nothing, right? So we created this brand that I thought, and people thought it was a franchise. Like they still do, because I think we invested a lot in the beginning in that. And it gave the appearance that we were, bigger than we were. And I think that just attracted the customers we wanted. But yeah, it allowed me to focus on those parts of the business where you do see people that get into a business. If you're super passionate about teaching yoga, that doesn't mean you need to open a yoga studio. Right?
That's right.
You might actually resent what you do if you do that.
That's right. I think
or
that
stop, you won't be teaching yoga as much. You'll be doing payroll. You'll be doing everything.
So. Or you'll be doing everything, and you're gonna have that resentment. Yeah, and that's like I know some folks in the space, and and even just not even just any entrepreneur that's starting, I can see it, and I went through it of being an operator for so long versus being an owner, and the pain that can cause you. Right? And then when I joined Dan Martell's coaching program and Buy Back Your Time, it was like, oh, that really opened up. So how do you feel like you accelerated that journey? Or is it just because you were in the wellness space and you liked it, but you knew that you couldn't be a teacher? Was it money driven or was it helping people driven? What was the purpose behind it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, in the beginning, because I hadn't been in that, space, running a brick and mortar, especially, yoga space. So I was definitely learning as I was going. There was soon some motivation to expand. The problem is I think we wanted to expand just for the appeal or the vision to look like we were doing well, right?
Yeah.
Where when I think of probably the happiest time of my life was when I had one studio.
Yeah.
In the beginning, right? And you think success was opening more. So, and then it all came down to the pandemic where we ended up closing some locations too. But definitely, I mean, I still have that bug and that it's growing because you have, I think you have the capability or the tools to do it, do it better.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it. Was each studio was oh, we can improve on this, do it better. And it was to serve more people. People wanted our studios in their neighborhoods, right?
Yeah. So you were feeling the demand. Yeah.
People would drive from different locations,
yeah,
to get to us. So feeling the demand, the creativity process, I liked finding the spaces, signing the leases, building out the spaces.
Yeah.
We were going to get into we had saunas at a time, but full saunas or cold plunges. I wanted to kind of create these little wellness spaces, right?
Yeah.
I still do. I mean,
I do too.
I still could. I don't know.
You might have just been ahead of your time, right? You might have just been too early.
Dude, that's the thing is I should have, I mean, I got into health and wellness, had a website back in I feel like it was 2006. And I was this is the next boom.
Yeah.
And people were my first site was called myrawfitness.com.
My Raw Fitness. Yeah.
My buddy actually bought the domain after it expired. And it's blackmailing me to get it back, but he's just messing with me.
Okay. Yeah.
But
he wants a case of beer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just knowing, I mean, I think that's one thing I've learned is I do feel at times I'm ahead of the curve, and it's just trusting yourself. And I mean, I feel I've already done well with that, but could you invest more in yourself and have more faith in yourself that, yeah, maybe you are onto something, maybe you don't have to wait for other people to accept it or agree with you, because in the beginning, people resist it, right? They kind of think, no, there's no money in that. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, because there's sort of the two paths of a business, right? It's the grassroots, scale as you go, create something, and then scale it, the in and out model, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've ever taken any money. They maintain quality. They have standards that they set, and they only open as many stores as they can. And then in recent years, they've been, I think they opened a headquarters in Nashville now, and so they're going to be
coming to Washington, right?
Yeah, I hope so. And we might be the last state. I don't know, but yeah, they opened up a new headquarters so they could expand. But or the other model is like you're building a business where you're going to go get like VC money and seed money. Like you're going to go create a funded company from the beginning where you need to scale, you need to do this thing, and you have to minimize expenses. And there's all these other requirements. You're reporting to shareholders or board or your investors or whatever. And much like commercial real estate. So how was it the transition? And I want to get into your boat business and your property management business, but like how was it doing the transition? Because you were competing as jiu-jitsu, MMA,
Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, yeah.
Yeah. And so how long did you do that for?
Probably started 2004 jiu-jitsu, and then started fighting around, I don't know, 2006 maybe, down in Arizona actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was going to school at U of A.
Okay.
Still training, like at the time this was like early UFC probably, but was going down to Phoenix to fight.
Yeah.
It was like called Rage in the Cage. No, maybe it was Rage.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think it was.
Man, this is bringing back memory. Okay, yeah. So you were ahead of the curve on all this stuff.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, a lot of stuff's about timing too,
Yeah. And so what was it like to transition out of that and into, because like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA into like yoga and wellness, and then now like boats and luxury vacation rentals. It's sort of like you're doing a bunch of different things, or someone might be looking from the outside and be like, oh, these are a lot of like conflicting ideals or
yeah. I
things,
mean, even
right?
with like jiu-jitsu, fighting, and yoga, like people always thought they were so opposite. To me, it's like I always thought they're very complementary, and I think even you see us fighting, but there's a level of respect after the fight, and this is pushing our bodies and challenging our bodies and taking us to the edge, which is kind of what you do in yoga as well, as you find that edge, right? And so, and a level of respect for your competitor, yourself. So I never thought they were that extremely different. I think from the outside you do.
Yeah.
And I still do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to this day. To me, I'm able to tune out and meditate and do more yoga in Jiu-Jitsu than I am in my yoga studio.
Interesting.
In yoga studio, I feel like I'm in my business.
Yeah.
I'm listening to everything in the room and critiquing the teacher,
Yeah.
thinking, business.
Yeah.
And so for me, Jiu-Jitsu is almost my yoga.
Yeah. That's your you time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that feeling whenever we go stay at any of our properties, especially ones that still need work. It's tough to not just be in that zone. So like we have a house on Orcas, and that was our dream, that was like our first real big milestone, was to own a house on Orcas. And we did that. And then it's taken me a couple of years, a couple of summers to peel myself back from all the work that we've done, all the work that still needs to be done, and just be able to still just enjoy that as the house and the memories that it's making.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
And then when it comes to like conflicting businesses or I forgot what you said, but very different, right? Like the yacht business. I mean, I think when 2020 came and the yoga studios shut down, I was glad I had these businesses that were very diverse, because yacht business boomed.
Yeah.
Airbnb started to boom too, and then it just took off. So I was like, oh wow. So that became my income all of a sudden. Yeah. And I didn't intend on that to happen, right?
Yeah.
And you hear about that too. Like when you're investing, you want things that, are in different markets, different industries, right? So one's up, one's down, you're still doing okay.
Yeah, there's this concept of like 7 streams of income, right? But then part of that is, well, you focused on one thing for so long that then you diversified. And
right.
so
Yeah.
what was your like decision-making process into, or how long did you spend starting the yoga studio? And then when did you
Right.
start?
Yeah, because the yoga studio to 2019 was like running without me.
Yeah.
Like everyone was better than me in the space doing what they were supposed to be doing. Like the students, the community was bigger than me. It was great. Like I got to enjoy it. And then we do the things we love. Like we would go to Italy and host retreats for 2 weeks and then spend another 2 weeks traveling. Like, so that was my main business. I didn't have these other things. I had an Airbnb, but that was just, for fun. And I told you, like, just to travel, go see family. But I think ultimately too, like where I realized like my calling is like, whether it be hospitality, but it's like sharing experiences.
Yeah.
And I think I was thinking that before I came here. I was like, I mean, that's really what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
The boats, I just want to share the experience on the water, right? Airbnb, share the experience. Travel to Italy, experience, share the experience, you know. And so with STRs, it's also sharing in the experience.
Yeah.
I want people to have the best time doing what they're doing and creating memories. So I think, and that happens in the yoga studio too. I'm changing lives through our business all the time, right? So even though the businesses look so different, you know, to me, it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And so are you basically channeling like the feelings and emotions that you've gotten through yoga and being on the water and vacationing to like want to give that to other people?
Yeah, I think maybe like without even knowing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just in me to like, I want to build community. I want to be around community. And I always want to like, even if it's just going out with friends, I want like, what's the absolute best memory and experience we can create tonight, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's just part of who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely see that.
And if you can make that, I think, you know, with SDRs, you look at like hospitality, dealing with guests, but it's still like, why could I be in this in the long run? Because I know I have the love for that, like to show someone a 5-star experience, you know, and be able to, you know, be a part of someone's trip, special experience. I think I won't get sick of that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get sick of it either, as much as like the guests sometimes can be a bit much. But tell me, so you bought the one that was, and I think that's how a lot of hosts start is we need a spot to stay back home or we want to go travel somewhere. And so we buy a second home, vacation home, whatever. Obviously through COVID, there was a lot of people that were just buying, you know, as investors. And so you bought the one and then where are you at now? And what does that business look like?
Yeah, we bought the one, but I'd helped in kind of seeing my parents. They got out of commercial real estate and they bought all these homes. And before Airbnb, they were doing like VRBO, right? And so I saw them do that. And I think I probably helped them along the way too. Like said, hey, you should rent these assets you have just sitting there. And then when we got ours, like I was like, cool, I'm going to put all my marketing tricks into it. It was still pretty early on. It was easy to win. And I was in Sacramento. It was like quickly became the top rental, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess I never thought about expanding. And actually one of my MMA coaches at the time reached out to me. This is a UFC guy, and he had a couple properties, but I heard he was annoyed at, you know, managing them, and his wife was annoyed at managing them. And I think I just reached out. I was like, hey, we can take this off your plate, you know? And it was like a sweetheart deal, like a good, you know, commission structure just to see if we could build a business this way.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot throughout the pandemic with that. And then it just kind of compounded on top of that, where someone would say, hey, do you manage in this area? Do you manage in this area? And I'm kind of like, I just say yes to things. Like if I will go create that. I remember when I was a personal trainer, I was doing one-on-one coaching and someone's like, hey, someone's wondering if you have like a boot camp class. And I go, yeah, totally. And I didn't. Right? And I just created it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, I mean, how many times out of 10 has it worked out?
I mean, it always works at the scale that it's at, you know, and
yeah.
I learn something from it every time.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good at building and creating, you know, but, and at the time, yeah, so I started I think things were starting to gravitate towards me. Like people were like, hey, do you manage in Suncadia? And I said, yes. Right. Yeah. And all of a sudden now we've got, you know, 15 in Suncadia.
Yeah.
And so, and most of our business has just been referral from client to client. And I think we're close to 30 now, but we're not even looking at how many we get. I'd rather have 10, to be honest.
Yeah.
Doing $1 million a piece.
Yeah.
You know? And that's kind of where we're thinking, right? We'll still have our markets and our portfolio, but of maybe, you know, homes up in the Cascades and stuff. But the amount of energy it takes for that home, where in Arizona, one property's generating in 1 month what those are in a year.
Yeah.
With none of the work, I'm like, oh, I should probably be doing that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, exactly.
But that's getting in those you know, those clients in those rooms of people that big investors, big money, $10 million homes, right? And so that's kind of the exciting part right now is like getting in front of those people and having the confidence that I can take care of this for you.
Yeah. And what's different about manage, because basically you alluded to the fact that the homes down in Scottsdale or down in Arizona are generating a lot more revenue than maybe some of the other markets up here.
Yeah.
But those are $10 million homes, higher end clientele. What's the difference in managing that type of person, that type of client, that type of home, that type of guest versus maybe some of the other stuff?
I mean, either we've just been lucky or this is how it is, but it's very enjoyable. Like, we can relate to the client. They're savvy investors. They're putting money back into their homes. They're looking at the next property. They want to create a partnership. They'll take care of their home, you know. The guests are usually, I mean, for how much they're paying, you think you'd have this really high maintenance guests complaining about the sheet thread count and everything, but they just seem to, you know, not want to be bothered, give them what they paid for. And, you know, they're there for, maybe they're not even in the house. Like, they're racing in NASCAR the next day, right? Like,
it's a bed, but because they have the money, they're buying the $10,000 a night bed.
Yeah,
or whatever it is. Yeah, for them and their family.
And you just give a level of quality and care that they would expect.
Yeah.
And for us, we're always trying to exceed that, right? Like, they're happy 5-star, but not, to me, I'm like, we could do better. We could do better.
Okay.
Like, and that's when you create that unforgettable, have to book with these guys again kind of experience, which I think we already kind of are, but like, can we go above and beyond, you know? And
so what are some of the things that you might do specifically that set you apart? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely like choosing all like hotel. I talk about this all the time too, is like that gap between hotels and STRs, especially the ones that are succeeding right now, it's basically the same, you know? So having high-end luxury amenities and shampoo, conditioner, everything, like spending the money on that kind of thing, knowing your guests who's coming, you know, getting some intake on them and having, you know, for example, I had cigars that I knew they liked sitting out ready, you know, some welcome gifts and things like that.
How did you know that they liked those cigars?
Just research. I mean, this was a huge, you know, person. You could just probably Google it.
Yeah.
So, and I actually asked the cigar guy and he knew.
Okay.
He's like, oh, I know what they smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this gets to a concept that for most entrepreneurs, they might not ever get here. And for me, it's been recent too, is the who, not how, and leveraging relationships and figuring out how to be or find the people that can help you. So whether you did the research online or not, or you already knew the person that could figure it out for you, you know, and then being the type of person that wants to deliver that type of experience.
And then like that kind of client, you're just thinking, well, what is their life like? Everything's taken care of. Like, they have assistants, they have everything. So you kind of want them to feel like you're going to take care of it all.
Yeah.
You know, so do you want the fridge stocked? You need a driver. Do you need, like, we're just asking the questions. Do you need any of these things? At least we offered it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just too busy to even respond, but.
Yep. But at least you offered it.
Yep.
Yep. And I think that's important for people to understand because they will see it. Maybe you don't know that they saw it, but they will see it and they will appreciate it. Yeah. Is there like a price point, like a nightly rate where you suggest offering certain amenities or certain levels of service, the home chef or the grocery delivery or whatever it might be?
I mean, for those examples, I'd say because there's services now that are easy to integrate with, that do it for all your properties.
Okay.
Whether that client actually wants that or wants to pay for that, because it might be the same cost as their nightly stay, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it depends on your system and how you integrate it, but we essentially offer it for anybody, but it's not like they take us up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, even at the high end level, like, we don't get a lot of people that even ask for those services. But
oh, interesting.
I think part of that's the delivery, figuring out how to, you know, get a hold of them well before and help them put this together. But they've got a million things going on in their mind too. So, you know, whether it's get a hold of their assistant, figure out what they want, what they like, and set that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't see between a, you know, $200 a night property and a $20,000 a night property. I think like those same services could work.
I think you're right, because we cater to a lot to families. We talk about like wealthy millennial couples or families, especially down in the Arizona market, and create a resort-like experience. And something that we can offer is even like grocery delivery. And I'm thinking about the busy parents that need to get the kids in. They want to get them in the pool. They want to do this, right? And being able to offer that sort of service or grocery pickup so that they can be ready for that. I think that's something that we can all, like you said, be thinking about what our guests' lives are like,
Yeah.
and really put ourselves in their shoes to be
You
able to
almost
offer
have
better.
to like lead them to the water, right? And be like, you know, hey, here's the app, download it, like get them to do it to even take you up on that.
Yeah.
Amenity. There's an app now or a service now that will do the whole fridge stocking for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
And I think they integrate with like Instacart. So
Oh,
the
good.
guests can check, they can basically do what they want because you don't know what they want.
You know, everyone has preferences.
You put beer and stuff in there and they don't drink, right?
Yeah.
So I'd prefer they get to choose and you're going to have to say, hey, like this is what you do. Download this app or do this, like really kind of get them to do it.
Yeah.
And then that service will just stock your fridge and they see your calendar and everything.
Yeah, we've gone the route of when it's a certain nightly rate, we'll stock the fridge with a mix of stuff. So especially with the kids, like, so we'll do different drinks, mainly drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if you got something in there that's going to work, you know, like you go to a hotel mini bar and they've got the different options in there. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. We're trying to get like branded welcome gifts. Well, we have it kind of set up, but we're just trying to figure out logistics behind it. But, you know, coffee, whatever, you know, s'mores kits up in the mountains would be great.
Yeah.
It's just about consistently getting that going.
Yeah.
You know, and set it up.
Yeah, it's tough. And so do you have a team? Is it just you running this company or is...
It's my brother and I as like the head of the company, right? And then we've got 2 other employees that work for us and then several contractors. We're in primarily Washington, kind of Cascade, and then Arizona.
Okay.
And so, you know, you got your handyman, you got your cleaning staff, all that.
And you're the ones communicating with them and talking to them and anything that needs fixed. And
we're getting really good at like, I mean, just having with software, you know, like tech stack that we're putting together where triggers and tasks and automations are happening where I can pretty confidently just like step away and just know maintenance is getting scheduled, cleaning is getting scheduled. Like, you know, we're still at the point where like if we want to guarantee no mistakes and 5-star across the board, we have to check in, make sure things are happening.
yeah.
Because we got some VAs too, right? And there's a communication difference. Like I got a vendor who was mad, a hot tub guy. He was basically saying he's not going to work for us anymore because she was rude to him. And I said, I think it's just a language difference, bud.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think you need to quit. And so he's fine now. But
okay.
so, you know, I had to come in and
Yeah.
smooth things over sometimes. And,
Yeah.
and there's just things like in the beginning that, and as we scale, like I see, we'll probably hire, you know, full-time maintenance down in Arizona, as well as like a full-time like operations concierge type thing.
Mm-hmm.
That will do a lot of that stuff that I do.
Yeah. I know a guy that has a bunch of properties in Scottsdale and he started a pool company.
He started his
Yeah.
own.
STR Pool Guys. Yeah. And I get it because the pool, like we've gone through 4 different pool people and this may not be relatable to anyone listening right now, but like basically running a business, your people are, you know, the best and sometimes the worst part of running the business. And when you're dealing with a lot of contractors, you know, not people that are working directly for you, it's a different type of relationship, different level of service. They've got other clients. And so having a pool person that can't show up or didn't do this or didn't take, or doesn't want to do this, it's, and especially in Arizona when that's why people are booking. It's not the only reason, but it's a huge reason why people are booking the place. And so if there's an issue.
Yeah. And I think like quickly being able to identify when something's not working and like replace them.
Yeah.
Like we had a cleaning team pretty good, you know, but we're like, we just got to get someone new.
Yeah, exactly.
Now all our headaches are gone.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes a while to figure that out and you don't know that it is a person issue and you've worked with someone for a while. And so there's relationships and things there, but like as a business owner and trying to deliver a 5-star experience to a guest, like you have to like learn how to be okay letting people go and learn how to like have those tough conversations, right? You have a conversation. If it's still going on, then you know that might be it, and you need to have to move on.
And with the vendor, it's pretty easy. You just don't schedule them anymore.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've done that, and then somehow they find out. You know, there's like it's funny. It's a small community, and so you know.
Yeah, we've got that decision to make soon, where like, you know, a vendor was acquired, and we can tell the service is declining.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Do we give them time to catch up and get it right? Now we're starting to look bad to our owners, and it's like, it's our choice and our responsibility ultimately, so, finding a new vendor might be the right choice.
Yeah. And so they were acquired by another business.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was going to ask, are you looking to do acquisitions on your management side?
I am. Yeah. Actually, I'm looking, there's like an 80 property portfolio right now that we're about to sign an NDA on to get down to the numbers.
Okay.
Cause yeah, I mean, scaling number of properties is one thing, but just finding the right areas where I think kind of like your velocity of scale thing too, or velocity of money, right? Is like, there's a lot of people or management companies that aren't doing revenue management, no marketing, nothing. It's like, you can double this business overnight.
Yeah.
So you're buying it based on their lack of, performance.
Exactly.
And knowing, plug in some systems and it's already more profitable.
Yeah.
Give it 3 years and, now it's really something that
I think I've I've heard a lot of other people doing this right now for that exact reason. I mean, this is what happens in business. This is what M&A is for, right? People go out and acquire businesses all the time that are distressed. When you're looking at an asset from the real estate side, for me, it's really easy to see, oh yeah, I can make these improvements, right? And then for you look at a business and you're like, oh, they don't have a marketing system. They don't take good photos. The reviews are low. So how are you able to evaluate a business that you want to buy that's already existing and be able to determine how much you're willing to pay for it?
Yeah, I mean, how much to pay for it, essentially, you're going to go, they're always going to come up with a number, and then we're working with like a, business broker guy that is going to break that down, look at EBITDA.
Yeah.
And what the multiplier is. And so ideally coming to a number that fits the multiplier and the EBITDA, but also like, if you can kind of get the terms you want, willing to maybe go, a little bit more. I mean, most people are emotionally attached to what they're selling.
Yep.
And it's not going to pencil out.
Yep.
So if you're like, okay, you don't want to insult them, right? They've put in 30 years of this business, and they're saying, oh, it's going to grow. This could happen. It's like, they're valuing it based on what it could be, not what it actually is right now. But if you can leverage that to get the terms you want, maybe,
Yeah. And so how quickly there's a term, if you, everyone out there, if you're not familiar, there's a term called cash on cash, which basically says how quickly you're going to make your initial investment back. So whatever money you put in to buy something, not the total purchase price, but like if you're buying something for $1 million,
yeah,
and you put a 10% cash into it, that's $100,000. If it's a 10% cash on cash, that means it's going to take you 10 years to make your money back. So what kind of cash on cash, or how long do you expect until you get your money back
for this specific
for buying something like this?
Yeah. So I mean, I was even looking to buy a coffee shop not too long ago, and that was the one thing I was asking myself, is like, oh, I'll make my money back in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say for me, for how old I am right now, like probably nothing beyond that.
Okay.
2 years, I think I want fast.
Okay.
But
because then for everyone out there, after that, that's all profit for you. Basically, you get your initial investment back, and then now you're just making money.
Yeah. And then that's kind of where, the multiplier, like 2.5 or 3, right? Like the coffee shop, I think, was using something like that based on their net, and they were taking a pretty, healthy salary too. So I was like, dude, pay myself.
Yep.
Net, and we'll make this investment back.
That's interesting, because normally people don't think of coffee shops in that way. There's that meme.
My accountant says, don't ever buy a coffee shop.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. There's the memes of like the entrepreneurs that run a business so that their wives can.
Yeah. I always think, and honestly, at this point in my life now, I'm like, everyone's going to tell you something, like, could be good advice, but a lot of times they're not you. Maybe you are passionate about that coffee shop, and yeah, you can make money from that. I mean, someone probably told, some of these, coffee roasters not to get into roasting. It's competitive, and they sell for $1 billion,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think the people that are the most successful are the ones that are going to go do the work and do the exploring for themselves and find the right opportunity for themselves. Like in real estate, everyone's talking about the interest rates and there's no deals out there and but there's still so many transactions going on.
Yeah.
And there's still a ton of people making money, and there's a bunch of different ways to make money. You might have to change your strategy. But you have to go talk to people. You have to go look at deals. You have to go see what's going on. You don't know what someone's situation is. You have no idea what the person behind that coffee shop why they're selling or how much they're selling for or what they're willing to take or what makes sense to you or the people that you can bring in, right? That like you have to make something happen. You have to create something, you have to build something, like you were saying. Like that's how real entrepreneurs work. And I came from the land of like engineers and stuff, and they're all out there trying to buy Airbnbs or real estate, but they can't get past the numbers because especially with Airbnbs, there's this faith in your design and your amenities and your ability to market the thing, and those are kind of squishy things that don't have tangible ROI on it.
Totally.
Yeah. But like that's really where the money's made. That's really where the magic is made.
Especially right now in this market.
Especially right now.
Like I actually love the whole the Airbnb is dead thing,
Yep.
And I would hear that and be like, nah, I'm in this business. That's just clickbait or whatever. But for some people it is. It will be, and you're seeing that people sell or just not doing as well.
Yeah.
But that's any business. That if you don't evolve, you're not going to just continue to do great.
That's right.
And I think Airbnb is feeling a big shift right now, and you're excited about hotels. I'm excited about hotels because they're becoming more similar. And like as a STR operator, you can do a hotel, and like I'm interested in that space, but I'm like, oh, who's going to take me serious?
Yeah.
I've never managed a hotel, but I'm in the hospitality business.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and the language is the same. There's some other different things, but commercial real estate, acquisitions, you already know all this stuff. Yeah. It's more about finding the operator or whoever it is that's going to connect you with. And there's the thing about who, not how. It's not how are you going to do it. It's like who do you know that can connect you to the people that are going to be able to make sure that you're successful. Yeah, because I'm sure you could look at a hotel and an asset and figure out exactly what you're going to do and how to run it and the amenities and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about this too, like memories are coming back from like when I was really young, my dad would just like, he'd love to talk to me about commercial real estate and I didn't care.
No.
Like he'd just sit me down and talk, but even, I listen to you. I've been listening to more of this hotel investing and the cap rate thing is something we don't talk about in STRs, right? Necessarily.
Yeah. Yep.
But I remember vividly, one thing he would always tell me, because he had these tenants and he was talking about if we can get the leases signed and the rates go up, then the cap rate goes up and then they sell. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But those memories are coming back. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, like, I think even what he was teaching me back then is relevant now. And I'm remembering it now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of driving I feel like I already feel more like knowledgeable getting into this space because of that, because of the stuff he would share with me.
Yeah. And honestly, if you can understand cap rates and what impacts cap rates and what you have in your control, then that's when things can really...
It's exciting.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about so it sounds like you did like some multifamily, right? So apartment buildings. The interesting thing about cap rates between multifamily and hotels is cap rates at multifamily are usually lower, which means there's not as much room to grow. It's kind of de-risked because it's rent and all that. There's not as much room to grow, but the more that you can push rents or the more that you can add in fees at that lower cap rate, that just means you're going to be that much more successful and generate a ton more income. With hotels, the nice thing is you have a lot more levers to pull, right? You can add fees, you can pet fees, you can add all this stuff. You can add amenities. You're not restricted by tenant laws and rent increases and that sort of stuff. And so cap rates are really interesting actually when you start to kind of dig into them and understand them. But it's also not everything. It's not everything. And also I talk to people that are just starting out, I ask, they're running the deal and they're like, oh yeah, this is what it's gonna be worth after the fact. And I was like, how did you get there? He's like, oh, NOI divided by cap rate, which is what the internet tells you is true, right? You take the net income and you divide it by the cap rate and that's how you get the value of the property. And I'm like, okay, well, has anything sold for that? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And I'm like, well, the comps still matter. Like the market will still tell you what someone's willing to pay.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
On the short-term rental side, I'm glad that you brought this up. I've been talking to some more people about this, about selling an Airbnb for at a cap rate, right? I think there's a company, TechVestor, that they've done a bunch of investing and done this, but I haven't really seen anyone prove out, because everyone kind of comes in and they're like, oh, I'm going to be able to sell my Airbnb for this much more because it makes this much money. And I don't think...
That's what my mom thinks. Anytime I talk about selling my house, she's like, you could get $2 million. It's only worth $1 million. And I'm like, Mom. No,
do you think an extra $1 million?
Because of the rental income. I was like, I wish.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. Maybe if you have a big portfolio. Yes.
I think bigger portfolio, it's a business. You got a bigger portfolio with a management company in place. You can prove out why you're doing better. And I think you will get a bump. You probably won't get it equivalent to the same cap rate, but you will get a bump. There's people out there that I'm kind of waiting to see once they do that. But if you have if there's regulations, like out on the islands, there's permits. I have seen those go for a little bit more.
Because you get the
permit. Yeah, you get grandfathered in the permit. There's no more permit. So that makes sense. But it still has to make sense to generate, income. So
to answer your question, I'm pretty sure you asked a second ago, was like that business I was looking to purchase, right?
Yeah.
To see what I would value that at, or where I'm getting kind of my valuation or what I think I could do with it, is I actually got one of those properties from the management company under my management to see how I can improve on it. Right. So I already saw myself take the property, do better than they did last year. Knowing, okay, if I bought this whole company, would I be able to do that to all of them? So,
and you did that in a quote unquote down market, or Airbnb's dead. Yeah. And so you reached out, you said, hey, this is what I do. Can you give me one of your properties?
Well, I didn't even ask them. I just actually organically got that property because they weren't happy with the management.
Oh, okay.
And they were a friend of mine.
Okay.
Right? And so it was an arbitrage deal too. So I took all the risk.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right.
They left management. They said arbitrage it, and I said I'm confident.
Yeah.
And so, but for me, I'm getting to see more into the market. I've got more skin in the game, so I'm able to learn that market this way to make a decision of, do I really think I could buy that portfolio and 3x it?
Yeah. And so that just gave you a big data point on how much you're going to be able to.
Yeah. It hasn't been a full year yet, but feeling good.
Yeah. Feeling good.
Feeling good about it.
And so speaking of your dad teaching you commercial real estate and kind of picking up on that stuff, something I noticed when I watch your Instagram and your stories is like, you're a real family man. You're out with your kids, you're out with your wife. You guys are always doing stuff. That's for sure. And so
I'm laughing because I always tell my wife, like, it's always like getting ready for the day and work, and I'm like, man, I wish you could just go for me. I want to hang out with the kids.
Oh,
and like hanging out with my kids, like, it's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
How
old are they now?
Brand new baby, 4 months. We got 3 years old almost next month, and then 6 years old, and then I've got a 14-year-old.
Yeah,
All boys.
Yeah. Amazing. And so are you teaching them this stuff, or like, how does this show up in conversations?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we have to tell them some things because they think, oh, my dad owns 30 homes. He thinks, my dad, he's telling people at school, we're going to my dad's house here. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we manage a lot of these. Like, they're not ours, but I bring my kids to a lot of, even my 14-year-old like goes on charters with me and works with me, and I just took my 6-year-old to make pasta. I have a pasta company, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the 5, 6, 7 companies.
And took him to make some fresh pasta, and I kept telling him, like, oh, don't touch that. That's for the client. It's for client. And then later the day he's like, Mom, this is what we made for the client, and this is So it's like, I think just by shadowing,
Yeah.
Because I think the kids see when you leave, they know they feel that you're grinding for the family.
Yeah.
You're providing for the family. But yeah, if they get to experience, and I think I got to experience a lot with my dad too, like seeing him work. I was the oldest of 4 kids.
Mm.
And so I had the exact same name as my dad. So I always tried to mirror my dad. Like, I could use his credit card because I had the same name.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
But I think it definitely rubbed off on me. It was like seeing how he built this real estate company. And so I think not even intentionally knowing it, I think just I like sharing this with my kids. I think they're just kind of seeing how things go. And
yeah. Are you one of those dads that's going to, like, you want them to be entrepreneurs and business owners, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a hard yes.
I actually don't even want them in school right now, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
More because I'd rather take them to Italy and travel and go on the boat and show them experiences. I want them to be speaking 3 languages, and that's a tough one, like when you don't know what route your kids are going to go. Like, if they want to be academics and they want to, get a PhD, and that's cool too. But I'm not going to hold it back from them, and the doors will be open. They're in school. They're in a great school. Yeah, we'll just see. But I think you grow up with entrepreneurs in your family. It's hard not to follow those.
Yeah, the
footsteps.
curtain kind of gets pulled back a little bit, and
Yeah.
you start to understand how life works a little bit more, how deals are done. I think it can be a little bit more fun. I mean, depending on what kind of jobs you're doing, like if you're a rocket scientist, like that's going to be pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And you got to go to school for that. I hope, right? You go get an engineering degree for that, but I didn't grow up that way. I grew up frugal household, like parents working 2 jobs, like commute to work an hour a day, but I always felt a little different, right? A little bit like the black sheep. And it wasn't until I got to a certain point in my career that I was like, oh, I need to be doing something on my own. I didn't realize how much the freedom of being able to do your own thing meant to me. And that showed up in travel and, not escaping necessarily, but like hiking in the mountains, going in, like when we go travel, we try to take every mode of transportation that we can, because I think that's just so cool in different countries, like seeing how people travel in different ways. And like, in Thailand, you got to get on the boat, but you got to like get in the water first, holding your suitcase above your head to get on the boat, or
intentionally put yourself in that experience to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's fun. Like, what else are we doing if not to experience things, right? I think we're going to see a lot more people like you take their kids out of school. That's something that I think, not to get political, but I think actually the left and the right have in common. They just like maybe don't know that they have it all in common, is alternative education or homeschooling or whatever you want to call it. But I think it'd be real cool to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm conflicted because I mean the traditional route. I went somewhat traditional, went to Catholic school and then a couple years of college, but like the families and the people you meet at the school is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I'm like, oh, I'd hate to miss out on that.
Yeah,
but I also don't like to be on the school schedule.
Yeah, yeah,
tardies and all. It's like I want to go when I want to go.
Yeah,
and that's the entrepreneur, right? And then they put you in the box of being on a school schedule. So
I think if
we'll see how long it lasts.
I think if they could figure out a way to make it work for more people, especially even just like the curriculum, even if there was a curriculum that was more suited to everybody, right? Because not everyone's going to be a math whiz.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but they might be really great at shop or working on cars or, welder. Like I think the skills are really missing in schools now. We were talking about this in the last podcast, actually. But having such a rigid curriculum, and I don't have kids, I just see what I see and I hear what I hear, but knowing what I think I know about people is like, you need to sort of find the best way to teach and the right topics to teach people so that they're excited to learn and they retain, and then they go into these areas that they want to go explore in. Right. Yeah. So
I think that'd be good. Yeah. We'll see. Like this is for my wife and I, our first kid in school. My 14-year-old is currently homeschooled, and it is interesting to see like what he gets done in a couple hours homeschooling.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
You did a full day of school. So what are they doing in there? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe something happens when you get groups of kids together. I don't know.
And for us, we always had our kids like half day. Like we didn't want them to be gone all day. Yeah. And like, there's a lot of parents that put their kids in like full day and then after school and then sport. And like, when do you see your kids?
Yeah.
And we're personally not like that. Like, and I think it's great either way, like how you balance your time and your family time. But like, I like when like school's canceled.
Yeah. Right. You get a day.
Great. You
get a day.
Get to hang.
And the kids feel like it's really special. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've noticed it. I've seen it on your feed and everything. Also, we were doing some research on you and I wanted to ask, like, do you have a professional photographer that follows you around on your Instagram, or?
That's me.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if anyone wanted that. Sweet.
Just casually even, but
I'm like, I get upset. For a while I was like, oh, my feed has to look perfect,
Yeah.
Once you have like 6 good photos, like we can't have any bad photos. But now I'm like, the more content, the better.
Yeah.
I
mean, look at my feed, dude. Like, I'm just putting stuff out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I've got like the ultimate dad camera now, the Leica Q2, which is like fixed lens. I've had all these cameras, but this one, it is what you shoot, and it's just lightweight and it's expensive, but it takes cool photos.
Okay.
And then I got my wife this even cooler one. Probably it's not as expensive, but it's like was popular on TikTok or whatever for the influencers because it's like film style
Yeah.
without editing. And so
I think I saw that one.
that's the one I even use it sometimes too because it's like editing photos. I just like never get to it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do the iPhone, but that's like right from the camera. You pick your film style, and so I don't know. It's fun taking cool photos. But yeah, occasionally, like if I'm in it, then obviously I'm not taking it. So we do family photo shoots, right?
Yeah.
We just did a sweet one. Maybe you saw that photo where the girl said, "Oh, I can do, digital or have this film style, like a film camera." I was like, "Let's do that."
Yeah.
So you didn't even see the photos in the camera. You got to wait, but she ended up doing both anyway.
Yeah.
So I knew she would do that too.
Of
so
course,
we got
yeah.
like 2 for 1, and the photos were cool. It was at my wife's restaurant. It was with her parents. So they have 5 restaurants, right? And so it was at one of her pizzerias, her family's pizzerias. So the kids are making pizza, and it's just, those are like timeless photos.
That's crazy. I didn't know she owned a pizza restaurant.
Yeah, so they're big Italian family. One of the first, I think they are the first Italian pizza in Washington.
Oh, okay.
And then
Give them a plug.
Yeah, it's Vince's Italian.
Vince's, okay. I don't think I've been to
That's
Vince's.
the family chain that started, I don't know, 70 years ago. But now her dad, Vince, there's Vince, right?
Yeah.
Our newest baby, Vincenzo.
Okay.
We finally, after 4 boys, we gave him.
We gave it to him.
One.
Yeah. Like, all right.
We take like, this is a side note, but it took us like 4 weeks to name our last 2 kids. We kept changing their names. And even this one, we're like going back and forth, and they're like, this feels right. Vincenzo,
Good.
This could be our last one.
Good.
We call him Enzo. But yeah, then they've got Pizzeria Buccianello's, which is like a Neapolitan pizzeria. And that's where we did the photos at.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So entrepreneur family through and through.
Restaurateurs. And that's another thing. I'm like, oh, I'd like to get maybe what's going to happen after he wants to get out of that business. Are we going to get into it? So
that's a good point. Yeah. And actually, I there's a lot of talk about coming in and buying businesses now because boomers, of that age are getting ready to retire, and they're either going to shut down or, maybe someone will buy them. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities.
I was looking at an Italian restaurant here in Kirkland, actually. Numbers were crazy.
Really?
Like over 3 million in a little spot.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kirkland, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, pasta, it's not that expensive, right?
Yeah. And now they're buying our pasta, so they're going to be even better.
Right.
Everyone's buying our pasta now, man.
It looks incredible. It looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Like
it's it's fresh extruded pasta. So my business partner with that is from Italy. He's from Rome, but he's now a chef over here. And we started this during the pandemic. We were going to do a restaurant. Somehow didn't get it going, and we just started extruding pasta.
Do you find that to be a better move, you think? No, your wife's in the restaurant business.
Well, yeah, everyone's going to tell you don't get into restaurant business.
Yeah.
Right? But I like to do what everyone tells you not to do.
Yeah.
So that just makes me want to do it more.
Yeah.
We'll see. I bet at one point in my life.
So you're a smart guy though. Like I think some of that advice that comes out is people that just are a little bit delusional, not in the good way, right? And they don't have experience. They don't know.
I think they assume they know you too. Like,
well,
you don't know what I'm capable of doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I can tell talking to you that, and obviously with the business that you run, like you have a pretty good idea of what it takes to be successful. And
people complain at restaurants, oh, you get theft, right? I'm like, I'll figure out.
That's a weird complaint. I know all those complaints are really weird.
Cameras everywhere. Like what? I'll figure it out.
Well, and then
I might be naive, but I always feel like I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, and then
figure out the bottleneck.
Even with the Airbnb stuff, the number one thing, like when people haven't started one and they're thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, but what about the guests and destroying the house? And it's like, dude, why don't you start by like talking to a realtor and like figuring out how you're going to buy one, and then worry about all that stuff later. Like if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, you don't really want to do it.
There's always going to be the negativity in the front,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, the trade-off is you're working your W-2 job and you're getting your safe, easy, steady paycheck, right? Yeah. These are different worlds. These are different things. And so to do the other thing, you have to go take risks. You have to go do something a little bit different. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like you figure it out. Everybody figures it out. This is what life is. You were talking about yoga, and something that I love about yoga is the practice aspect of it, the term practice. Like, and I really feel that with everything in life, that every session of yoga is different. And that's why it's practice, is because you might be practicing trying to get your heels down on downward dog, or you might be practicing just fucking showing up that day, right?
Yeah.
But you're practicing something different, something a little bit more every single day, and it's different every single day, but it's practice for the next time. It's not perfection. It's not complete. It's not done. It's practice. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, one of the first teacher trainings I did too, the whole module was basically just called practice. Like that's all you do.
Yeah.
You know, you think I'm going to learn anatomy. This is you need to practice.
Yeah.
Like do it.
Yes.
You know,
do it. Yeah. That's how we learn. I say, I don't know who I got this from, but it's out there is, you know, you can't learn to ride a bike by reading about how to ride a bike. You learn to ride a bike by riding a bike. And that's so true of being an entrepreneur, running
and people
a
are going to help
business.
you, you know?
Yeah. Look at that. See, an even better analogy.
I just taught, you know, my 6-year-old to ride a bike not too long ago. And I was like, you know,
yeah. Or you got training wheels, or you got your dad behind you, someone's behind you,
Yeah.
and then they let go and they let you go do it, and you learned and you had fun.
Yeah. And I think one thing I will say too, and I was thinking about this, and you probably know this, it can get lonely as an entrepreneur, you know? Like you don't feel like people can help you. Either they're competitors or they don't want to share their secrets, or you're afraid to ask, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I deal with that all the time. It's like, and that's why having friends that are entrepreneurs, and you might be in different industry. Like one of my best friends, he's in the cookie business.
Yeah.
You know, really successful.
Cookie Monster?
I call him the Cookie Monster, the Colombian Cookie Monster. But we share in, you know, what we struggle with, what we win with. And so I was with him right before this, and he just got back from Vegas from a big food conference, and he wanted to meet up with me so bad to share with me what he learned and specifically on how he thinks it can help my pasta business.
Oh, I love that.
It's like, dude, thank you.
I love that. Yeah, that
and connecting me with those people that he met.
Those are the really special relationships. And I was on the opposite end for a while of the lonely, the not able to ask for help. I think I really thought that no one else was experiencing what I was experiencing or understood what I was going through. And then once I started opening up and finding more and more people, like I realized, oh, like one, I'm not that special, right? This is not the first time anyone's experienced this problem or felt this way. And I had some work to do, but really when I started experiencing other people doing that thing that you described, where they wanted to come share with me just to share, because I was so used to the vendors and the contractors just wanting to take. And like, that's what it felt like running a business, is that I was an ATM and like nobody was willing to really help, but really it was just a reflection of how I was showing up.
Yeah.
But then when I started getting these other people into my life, because I was showing up for them and I was showing up and wanting to help and add value, they were showing up for me. And that feels incredible to have someone that actually wants to do that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's the value in too, like finding mentorship groups, guys group, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, coaches.
Yep.
Just good people. And I think, yeah, you start attracting those people too. Your friends that want to see you win, want to see you succeed, and you want the same for them.
That's right. Yeah. And I think the last thing about that is you can create that yourself too, right? If it doesn't exist, you can go create that. You can create the men's group. You can create the meetup. You can create the community.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be paid. It can be free. It can be once a month. It can look however you want it to look. But I think the sooner that you create something like that, then the sooner you're going to get benefit from it. And you're
even you doing your coaching stuff, like you're helping yourself.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
know?
trying to sharpen the axe a little bit. And
Absolutely.
yeah, but really I do want to help people. And I had a lot of great conversations doing those free coaching sessions. I shut them down now.
Did you?
Yeah, it was just,
I
it's a lot of
I got
time.
one of the few ones.
You did. Yeah.
That's
One of
cool.
the first 100. So,
You did 100?
yeah, that was the goal, was to do 100. Maybe it was like 90, but
Dang.
yeah, it was.
And from there, I mean,
What's
connections.
next?
No, I mean, from that, you probably made some good
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
good moves from there.
Yeah. And I wanted to be a lighthouse for people on that too. And so have people reach out. So I still get people that are reaching out asking for help, like through Instagram and stuff. And I love being able to help them.
Yeah.
Um,
You're definitely natural, dude. Like when I got the call with you, like didn't know anything about you. I was like, let's just talk to this guy.
Yeah.
You seem like the expert when I saw you on hotels, and I was like, I'm curious about this.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. The universe has been giving me a lot of feedback about which direction I need to head in. And so these podcasts have been a lot of fun so far, and getting to have these conversations with people like you, and honestly, just hearing everything, it's really validating. It's really inspiring. Like, it's helping me remember how much I love people and getting to talk with people and learning people's stories and sharing people's stories. So yeah, I appreciate you coming down, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I didn't even know we were recording it. No.
yeah, I know. Yeah. We kind of just jumped into it, but, where can people find you? Where can people follow you? What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want them to? How do you want them to interact with you?
Well, you won't be able to find me on Instagram because of spelling my last name, probably. But,
Yeah.
Mike Baiocchi. But I'm definitely putting out. I'm gonna start doing a lot of content this year too.
Okay.
And I think like I'm going down to Arizona for spring training. We've got a big VIP client. I'm gonna film like the whole waking up, go to Payne Field Airport. You've been there?
Yeah, I love Payne.
Film like just the whole day in the life.
Yeah.
Go down and meet clients, see homes, just for fun.
Yeah.
I love cameras, mics, technologies to, not attached to even like what the views are going to be, but just sharing content. So, but yeah, Stay Rome is our property management company.
Yep.
So got some really cool houses.
Yeah. So if you've got a luxury Airbnb that is struggling or you don't like the management company, go talk to Mike.
We are obsessed with hacking this business. Like, can we perform better?
Yep.
And marketing and sales is our thing.
Yep.
All the other operations take care of itself. Bala Yoga, great studio, Kirkland.
In Kirkland, Washington.
And then Rome Charters,
Rome Charters.
We didn't even get into that, but
No.
I got to get you on the boat this
We'll be there.
summer. I mean, I just went on the boat 2 days ago. Beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Oh my
2 days
gosh.
ago. Yeah.
We did an engagement charter. It
Oh.
was beautiful. Yeah. For
Nice.
a Kraken player.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were so connected.
They find us, man.
Yeah,
And now
that's
we
true.
are, and now
That's true. I want to end on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the boat stuff, the car stuff, like the luxury stuff. It's the way that you go meet people and make connections.
It puts you where,
Yeah. And you might say, oh, well, it's artificial. But it's not because it puts you where you need to be. And if you're a good person and you're trying to add value and you're trying to do something, like that's just sort of the way the world works is once you meet somebody, once you're in the room, once you're connected, if you are who you are and you follow through on your commitments and you do what you say you're going to do and you add value or whatever it is, you will see the connection start to mature, right? You will make things happen in your life,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah. And so these other things are just literally vehicles and devices and ways and means
it's hard
to make connections.
You can't always see the value or the return on the investment, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be dollars.
Yeah, it's the squishy
first,
stuff. It's the squishy stuff. So yeah. All right, Mike. I really appreciate you coming down. This is great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, follow him on Instagram. We're gonna look for your day in the life content going down to spring training.
Yeah, give you some feedback.
What's the name of the pasta company too?
Forchetta pasta.
Forchetta pasta. Yeah, handmade.
Handmade, not in retail yet, but it's bronze die extruded, so it's for restaurants and kind of like corporate stuff. Get into like hotels, airplanes, all that.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate you and thanks everybody. Peace.
Thank you.
Yep.